And we are live. Offcentered back again. The bi-weekly show. It looks like Sports Card Radio wrapped up, so we might get a little bit of an audience tonight. That's good news. I'm joined by Neo Cards and Comics, who's probably just going to be sitting by and watching the Cavs game while we're talking the whole time. Yeah. So if he looks like he's just in a trance or in a coma, that's probably what's happening. And then Jeff Wilson was a maybe to come on tonight to talk with us about a couple of things. He could not show. And so Steve dressed up as the Great Value brand, Jeff Wilson. And so that's what we've got. Steve, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up?
How we
doing? Good. All right.
What's new?
What's the top 5 cards going up and down?
I don't know. I didn't catch that video. I would say, like we were saying, and it's okay to say it, I more resemble the SCR guy, wouldn't you say? Just as a quick glance, wouldn't you guys have thought maybe SCR was on the channel?
I thought for a second they popped on. And then I was like, it's just Steve.
I don't have anything as intelligent to say as they would, though. So
we've got. Go ahead.
Steve, this is a good point in the chat. Do you just not make videos anymore?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Not right now.
Okay. You're just retired.
Not right now. He was he was exhausted
retired.
in that with slabs.
Retired would mean I would be permanently done.
So you're on a Dakota.
Yeah, I'm not permanently done. And I'm still doing things with the hobby. We still have the league. We still have the giveaway. We still have Offcentered. So it's just kind of like...
just saying it's a content creator league and you don't create content.
Well, I have cards that I want to show. I want to show these in a video. But my mail days keep, the cards aren't coming in fast enough because I'm sending them out to grade as fast as they're coming in. So I'll be like, okay, when these next 2 cards get here, I'm going to do a mail day video. And then all the cards I save from a mail day video are now sitting in grading because of the gaps in between. And it's kind of like, okay, now I'll just wait for a grading reveal video when they get back.
Now, are you trying to get stuff done for Atlanta specifically?
Yeah, some stuff, but it's tough for Atlanta now because anything that I buy online is going to establish a comp. Which means in Atlanta, unless I grade it between now and then.
It's 3 months from now.
Yeah, it's like the end of January.
Almost 4 months from now, isn't it? February? Or is it January?
Steve doesn't want to establish a comp. That should just tell you all you need to know if you're buying anything from Steve. Just be very careful out there, friends.
Well, I'm not selling stuff that I don't have the type of inventory that's all over eBay. You know what I mean? I'm not selling silver prisons.
I think that really kind of tells the tale of the market right now when you can only really have stuff at a show that has not sold in 90 days. Think about how different that is going back a couple years. What a drastic difference a couple years makes.
Yeah, for sure. Well, here's a good segue. He won't be able to show his own auctions anymore.
Yeah, my work schedule changed too, man. I work overnights now, so
graveyard.
It would typically be like, okay, I'd film a video on my way to work, right? A lot of my videos were in the car, and now I go to work at like 9 at night, and it's dark, and you can't see anything, and so, and I would get to work by like 5 in the evening, which means I could edit it really quickly at work and then upload it. Now it's kind of like, unless I get up and actually make it a part of my day to do a video, I can't get the videos out.
Chat says Dustin's filmed 87 videos since Steve's last video.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm making up for you, Steve.
It's all about quality and not quantity, guys.
Yeah, you're talking to the wrong 2 people for that one.
That's what I mean. You guys got the video. You guys got the video side of this live stream covered. You know what I mean?
So Dan says that you went off to get a transplant. I'm just happy that you didn't mince. You went and spent money on the transplant. You didn't play around and get kind of like where it's like, oh, I'm gonna just get like a few hair plugs. You just went all in and were like, give me the whole like lion's mane.
Yeah. So originally I had a big Halloween party at my house last week, and the theme was dead celebrities. So I chose to be Chris Farley. So I went to the doctor. I said, hey, I need a Chris Farley hair transplant. This is what they give me. And it hasn't come off since Tuesday. And I'm like, man, now what can I do to at least make it look a little bit more intelligent? So I went out and I got some glasses. These aren't even prescription. These are just plastic glasses, but they make me look a lot smarter. So here's the thing. It says 90s heartthrob. So I used to be one of those. I used to be one of those at one time. So
Is that Brad the comeback card investor?
Just kind of reliving my past a little bit.
Steve was a male model for 20 years before.
Hey, wait a minute. Is that Brad on there?
That's what I said. Is that Brad?
That might
Brad's
actually
back.
be Brad.
Brad's back on the stream, guys.
That might
There he is.
be him.
It is. Look at the face.
It actually, like in all seriousness, it does kind of look like him a little bit.
It could very well be. We have some big news. We're going to start with, we'll actually start a little bit outside. We'll go to the non-sports arena first. We've got some big news, and it is that the strike is finally over.
How do you know you're not allowing notifications for the latest news and updates?
Let's allow it. Okay. Okay. Allow it. Okay. All right. So we've got the strike is over. They've agreed to a 3-year deal. So all of your favorite shows and stuff are going to be coming back. For me, it's, obviously it's Stranger Things. I'm ready for that last season to get going. And so here we are. So guys, any initial reactions? Rob, I know you're happy since you're like a Marvel nut. I doubt you didn't want to see Marvel and Star Wars go on hiatus for a couple years.
Yeah, no, I mean, everything's probably going to get screwed up enough just for as long as they've been off for. So we're probably going to have like a weird early next year with like shows. Like I really want like the next season of Game of Thrones and a lot of other stuff too. Like it's not even just about the Marvel Star Wars stuff, but Last of Us, I think that got screwed up because of this. I think there's a bunch of stuff that got screwed up because of this.
Yeah, I saw something where Stranger Things isn't going to start until June, and I'm like, damn, why? I think I heard that they had already moved everything into like they're filming in Atlanta. That's where Hawkins is. So I was hoping that we could swing by while we're there for Culture Collision, if you guys don't mind.
I think the other problem too is I don't know that a lot of filming gets done before Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think a lot of people I think I've been told that like Hollywood essentially shuts down for like that month, but that might be different this year with everyone being backed up.
Yeah, absolutely. Steve, what are your initial reactions? You look like you're absolutely shocked and excited and just emotional.
Do I look like the kind of distinguished gentleman that would sit around watching TV all the time? No.
He's too busy reading Fireside.
I just finished watching, well, it's been a little while now, but I just finished getting through everything of Breaking Bad. That's how far behind I am. I'm still finding television shows that were out that I never watched that were good. I mean, I'm looking forward to some new releases. Like I'm a fan of The Boys. So right now I'm watching Gen V, which is a series that's out right now.
Gen V, okay.
Yeah, and then so if you watch The Boys or know what The Boys is, you need to watch Gen V because they go together. And then the typical Marvel stuff when it comes out, but I felt like it was being oversaturated anyway. Like I couldn't keep up with all of it. I haven't even started Loki yet, and I didn't get to watch She-Hulk. It's just they were putting out shows one after another. Yeah,
I missed all of it. I still haven't seen the last Spider-Man that's got like Tobey Maguire in it. I should probably get caught up on that.
What the
hell? Hey, Bob Boozle says he won't spoil MASH for me, but I do know what MASH is. My grandfather used to watch MASH, and all those years growing up, I always thought it was set during the Vietnam War, and come to find out it was set during the Korean conflict. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my wife and I are always a decade or two late on shows. We did the whole Sopranos run about a year ago. We did Lost like 5 years ago, and I think Lost ended like 15 years ago or something. So yeah, we're always a little bit behind on all the good shows.
Like Chat.
a little bit behind. That's the key.
That should be the name of our show. Instead of Offcentered, the name of our show should be A Little Bit Behind.
Always a little bit behind. All right. So sports-wise, your Dolphins took a little bit of a hit. I'll tell you this, Steve, you'd be proud, actually. My youngest remembers everything, but remembers the craziest things. He's 8. So the Chiefs, of course, are playing the Dolphins in London, going back on Sunday morning.
Frankfurt.
In Germany, excuse me. Yeah, so I had told him maybe like a month ago, the Dolphins are really good because they've got the 2 fastest guys in the NFL are their pass catchers. So when their quarterback is throwing, they've got the fastest guys. So this is like a month ago. So I turned on the game and it's 21-0 Chiefs. And Thanks, my son is, he's like, it's 21-0 Chiefs. Dad, how's that possible when the Dolphins have the 2 fastest guys in the NFL?
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny.
Well, the NFL's rigged anyway, so it's like, they can't have Patrick Mahomes lose in Germany. It's impossible.
It's starting to feel like that. It's starting to turn a little bit to now. It's like it used to be
sell those tickets.
It used to be Tom Brady, where it was like, oh my God, like this guy literally gets every call at the end of the game type thing. And now it's starting to feel like it's Mahomes, to where you're like, what? Come on now. I know Chiefs fans are going to be, whatever on me, but
if that game would have ended with a dropped ball or a tackle at the goal line or a bad pass or a knockdown or a good defensive play, that would have made sense. But to fumble a snap when you weren't even off cadence or not paying attention, like you see that happen sometimes, but the quarterback isn't paying attention, or it's over his head, or
you're going
snapped into the ground.
You're full conspiracy.
Hey man, it just didn't seem right. It was 21-0 going at halftime. Chiefs didn't score the whole second half.
Yeah.
And their touchdown before halftime was a fumble return for a touchdown.
So sounds like you were in a spell during that game.
I didn't wake up till the fourth quarter. So like I said, I've been working overnight. So it's hard to get off work at like 6 a.m. and watch a 9 a.m. football game.
That's fair enough. And Rob, your Browns, like out of nowhere, are really good. So what's that all about?
The NFL's rigged. I just told you.
The defense is really good, not the team.
Yeah, because Watson really hasn't played very well, right? And then
when you have Myles Garrett leading your defense and Denzel Ward, you don't need your quarterback.
So like Nick Chubb's out and Watson.
Yeah, we don't care. We have Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Is that the running back? Their running back's pretty good.
You don't know who Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward are?
No, they play defense, but you have a guy like Jordan or
I'm saying they are our offense. They play both ways.
No, Nick Chubb got hurt, so it's Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, but Jerome Ford has an ankle sprain. He's been in and out.
Yeah, I've been using Kareem Hunt in my fantasy leagues.
I've got Kareem Hunt as well.
They've been splitting it between Hunt, Ford, and Pierre Strong.
Why don't they just let Hunt, man? Let him do it.
He's kind of old and not.
They're each getting like 14 touches a game each. They're splitting pretty well down the middle.
Speaking of remakes,
Browns is all about defense.
Ghostbusters trailer dropped today for those that missed that.
I missed it.
It looked really good, and Bill Murray's in it again, so that's all that matters.
Meh.
What? No.
So I need to wipe the dust off my Proton pack then.
Dude, it looks. I'm not gonna. I mean, it's a trailer, so whatever. But
you should order the. There's a HasLab Ghostbusters thing going on right now. It's pretty cool. For like their version of Kickstarter.
Neil, we need to start doing the top selling players of each top 3 sports every month, like the top 5. I'm going to drop a video. This might be tomorrow, actually. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it plays out. Rob does all his videos like 3 days in advance or the night before or whatever. I've got 4 kids, so I can't just drop everything and do it like the evening before. But I'm going to do, I think, 3 or 5 cards that I think are underpriced. We're gonna go the underpriced video, like it's 2020 all over again.
Be careful.
What could possibly go wrong here?
Dude, I'm coming headfirst into that. I'm ready for it. I'll have all the disclaimers in the video and all that sort of thing. Dude, this is actually the time.
Those disclaimers won't exist when someone clips a 30-second clip.
Oh, yeah. Well, there'll still be, of course, there's always going to be those people out in the world on the internet, but it's like cards are so far down. It's
I'm
like
DMing Raul right now to tell him you're dropping a pump and dump video tomorrow.
Oh, he already covered that video today.
I hope please let Raul
get him, Raul. Get him. Dan the Card Man's in here. He'll get you.
Dan, give me the who's that guy? Justin Gamble treatment. Let's do it. I don't think he's made a video since Dan talked about him.
Yeah, Dan comes at you. You just sleep with the fishes.
Feel free to react, Dan. Tell Raul. Everyone get reacting. Everybody get reacting to tomorrow's video.
Dustin's videos must be hurting. He's begging for engagement.
It's actually going pretty good.
That's why I'm wearing this wig. He was like, Steve, people with hair get more views. So you're killing the stream. So I'm wearing this for Dustin.
I was like, Steve, me and Rob have hair. I mean, it's a cool like kingpin thing you've got going on and the whole casino bit, but let's tighten it up a little bit. So,
oh man.
Speaking of, how is everything at work? Is it busy-ish to where you have
the good questions.
Because of cards.
Actually,
cards. Hey, doesn't it take cards?
So last live stream, this is funny because nobody's going to believe me. But last live stream, you asked this question, and I was like, "Well, the casino has been slow, typically for this season, in comparison to years past." And the other day, I think it was Saturday, I was riding to work, and I was like, "Man, this would have been a good time to have a live drive going." But I was like, "Man, I got a feeling." Because to be honest, I go through ebbs and flows, and when I feel excited about the hobby and not excited, I'm always in the hobby and I'm always looking to buy stuff and find cool stuff. But sometimes I'm more excited than than other times. Sometimes I'm just kind of like going with it, and sometimes I actually feel really excited about some things. And I was just driving to work, and I was like, "Man, we've been talking about Atlanta. I've been buying stuff on eBay, and I'm like, man, I'm feeling excited about the hobby for some reason today. I don't know what it is about today." And when I got to work, we had our biggest drop in cash at the casino probably in the last 6 months. And I was like, wonder if this coincides with my feeling of excitedness that I've had, because I usually gauge the card market. It's no secret. That's how I do it. Whether it's right or wrong, or people go along with it or believe it or not, that's how I personally gauge the card market, is how the casino's doing from a cash drop standpoint.
Now,
it just tells me people have extra money to spend, basically, is kind of what it tells me. Or they're willing.
They're just getting more desperate. Like, this is our last $100. We either turn it into 500 right now, or we're going broke either way.
No, because it's not the $100 gambler that drop increases your drop. That might be the desperate gambler, but it's not the gambler. Yeah, you need the.
It's like Kim Jong-un rolled in for a weekend or something.
No, we just had big money.
Sorry, I just saw your hair. You're kind of like a blonde version in a way. Anyway, Brendan Ryan, what's going on? History Through Cards, great YouTube channel. Check him out. Oh, damn it. What was I going to ask you, Steve? Oh, I know what it is. We are almost to the point where we need to start buying quarterbacks for the National next year. We're almost to that point. We're rolling into November, December, January, and the three of us need to get together and choose a couple guys that we're going to roll with, and those are going to be our national guys. Kind of like, the Jordan Love last year.
By choose, you mean just buy whatever Steve's buying?
Yeah, pretty much. Steve, what are you buying?
I haven't started.
Whatever pump and dump Steve gets.
I haven't started for the National. Who was it this year? Jordan Love was pre-National.
Sam Darnold.
No, what I took to the National was, I didn't take Sam Darnold to the National because I knew it wouldn't be the right time to sell him. When I was buying Sam Darnold, he had to get on the field.
You sold Jordan before the National because
I sold Jared Goff at the National. Jared Goff was my big seller.
You did pretty good with Jared Goff.
Yeah, I did really good with Jared Goff. One night, I sold them all in one night at a trade night cash. It was good. I remember doing the vlog walking out of there, and I was like, man, didn't think that was going to happen like that. But
yeah,
it was good. It was gravy.
He's always
Myles Garrett.
He's right time, right place guy. Me and Rob are always the guys that are kind of like one step behind. And one lesson I learned is do not buy cards from Steve ever, which I've done and both of us.
Yeah, we've both gotten ripped off.
We both got by Steve. So yeah.
What?
Passing.
I'm probably sure I've probably gotten got by you guys before too.
I'm just glad
you ever bought a card from me. When have you ever bought a card from me?
I'm just glad I got rid of that Russell Wilson auto when I did, which I love that card, but just with what Russell Wilson did over the last 12 months.
If you would have had the card that I sold you at the National this year, Neo, I would have bought it off you. Because I bought that card with the intentions of I wouldn't mind having it, but if you wanted it, I would sell it to you.
I'm going to sell you my Jim Brown next year.
He's not reacting to it at all. Oh, man. Are we all selling Jim Browns now? Because every time. Oh, yeah, you have two of them. Okay. But are you going to move one of them at some point?
I mean, sure, one day, but I have no real reason to sell that card.
Man, Mike Petty said I look like Roy Orbison. That's the one that made me laugh just now. I'm seeing in chat has got all kinds of. I resemble Tony Soprano's mom. I don't know what Tony Soprano's mom looks like, but I think somebody said they thought.
Mom.
So I think somebody thought that there was no way I could convince them that I wasn't a blackjack dealer and that I didn't work in the back of the house. I have to go get my red.
That's we'll get to that comment in about 15 minutes.
My red lottery badge, man.
Yeah, I must have. I'm going through all of them.
You want to buy Cleveland, guys. Don't forget where you're going next year.
Don't be stupid.
Oh, I got Cleveland guys. I got Cleveland guys right here.
You want Myles Garrett?
Which, speaking of, we need to.
Oh, there's a Cleveland guy for you.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of, we need to book Cleveland at some point soon.
I mean, I'm good.
Okay, well, did you have to?
Yeah, I thought we were staying in Neo's.
Yeah, well, he keeps on balking at that, so I don't know.
No occupancy.
I mean, like,
it was one of those like he was trying to be polite, but then he's not going to end up doing it.
Well, Dustin, you should just like rent a camper and you should bring it up to Cleveland and we'll park it in Neo's yard like Cousin Eddie.
Or it's going to be some sort of
Madden bus.
It'll be some sort of catfish thing where we show up and it's like not him, it's some other family or
I'll just give you like a random address.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you guys better get on it. The hotel situation sucks.
Well, what do you have to do?
Does it matter where we stay? I mean,
in all honesty, it actually doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, like it really doesn't matter because we're gonna have to like drive to.
I haven't looked to see like if even the mediocre hotels have gotten booked up already, though. That's the thing. There's just like not a ton of hotels out in the west side.
Just find an Airbnb.
The hobby's dead, so we'll be fine. Perhaps the best hobby catchphrase. We're almost due for the is our card shows dead again, like part 2, part 3. Those are good December videos. I
like the we're in the every even though the market's crashing into the red, the reason why is like, oh, it always does that this time of year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. We're in that narrative right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna
has nothing to do with the fact that the world's ending. It's because we're in December and November and December.
Yeah, our president hasn't left like the White House basement, and like I mean, it's like a weekend at Bernie's thing over here in the U.S. Like we haven't seen him in years, you know. Like, but everything's fine. Everything's fine. Max Trubin, what's going on? Johnny Bravo. Tony. Oh, there's the Tony Soprano's mom thing.
Don't forget to build in the Football Hall of Fame into your travel plans.
Yeah, I do want to do that because otherwise I'm just.
Steve wants the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I'm going to go do it. Like Dustin is going to be like, I want to do it, and he'll get there and he'll be like, no, not today, man. So I'm going to.
Is that how I talk? Not today, man.
Yeah. No, Johnny Bravo.
He'll say I'm going to go out to dinner first, and then 3 hours later he'll be like, okay, guys, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're not doing it today.
Yeah, Steve, yeah, I just make sure if I don't see Steve before 6 p.m., then he'll be at dinner till 10.
So
there's no fancy restaurants in Cleveland.
I'll just see you tomorrow then. Yeah.
No, what do you eat in Cleveland?
So how far away are the Cleveland hotels realistically from the convention center? All like, are they all on the same strip?
Fine. No, everything's all spread out.
What are the closest ones? Like how far are the closest one? Like 10, 15-minute drive?
Yeah, you're looking at probably like a 15-minute drive.
Okay. I guess, but I've heard the parking situation there is good. Like it's a gigantic
It's just a massive parking lot.
Okay.
But you're going to have to pay to park to get in and out every day. Yep.
You know what?
Well, I'll probably just Uber.
I'll be driving.
I don't think there's going to be. I think Uber is going to be a situation you want to stay away from.
Yeah, I wouldn't Uber, Steve. There's going to be 10 billion people trying to Uber.
Because everyone's going to have to Uber, and Cleveland does not have the Uber infrastructure to support.
Uber with someone who's Ubering.
A shit ton of people walking out of that convention all at the same time wanting an Uber.
Oh my God, you make me want to stay home.
Man, just drive. You're fine. You just gotta just drive. I mean, if you and Dustin are gonna be sleeping in the same bed, you could just carpool together.
No, I'm sleeping in the parking lot in my car.
We're just gonna sleep in the car.
And you only have to pay for parking once. There you go. Next level plays. What was the big controversy last year? Sharing a bed. Sharing a room with someone.
We'll bring wet wipes. We'll just bring wet wipes.
Wet wipes.
Wipe down.
Wasn't that like a big talking point? Like, we're adults, you shouldn't have to share a room with someone. What if you like share the back of a pickup truck? Is that like exempt from that?
Yeah, I like how when somebody says anything, it's like turned into like, what do you think, we're poor? Or like, like everybody, like people just take stuff and run with it. It's really funny. Like the one guy on Twitter that was like, a grail, if your grail card's $500, then there's something, wrong. And then there's like 10,000 people commented on it. Like he got absolutely just like railed against. And it's funny because it's like, you would think that he had said something like crazy, and I don't know. It's just funny to me, some of the stuff.
So since you touched on grail card, how would you refer to as a grail card? Let's talk about that as a topic really quickly. Because
now you're a psychiatrist.
Because I don't know if
on everything. Have you thought about your grail card lately?
Have you thought about that? But anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it necessarily monetary value or just how hard it is to obtain, period, like rarity?
No rules. It's just whatever your grail card is or whatever your grail item is, it is. It's different for everybody.
But how much? Okay, so question: how much of? Because I know it's the whole thing of like buy the stuff that you like, not what other people like. Okay, so there's that piece. But if it's something that's hard to find but nobody else cares about it, like how much does that play into like what are your ultimate grails?
Right.
And I don't necessarily I don't mean like your IG, like people on IG. I'm talking about like people in the world, you know,
and like Neo said, that I'm not getting a concrete definition. I'm saying I was asking you guys and even Chad, if they want to comment, what plays more into your grail card, how hard it is for you to obtain, or the actual like monetary value of it. Or, I mean, that'll go hand in hand because a lot of time rarity will cause value,
right?
But but everybody also has a different budget. You may not ever be like, hey, I can't afford a $5,000 grail card. My grail card I'm playing in the $100 ballpark for something that I want.
I think it's the idea that you have something that nobody else has, or for me, I think that probably weighs more nowadays. Now, granted, look, that could change like down the road, but where I am right now, hobby wise, I think it's of course, like the monetary part plays into it, but I think it'd be really cool to have a certain thing that other people, like nobody else has it. I know one of ones are kind of overplayed now on the sports side, but we all three of us have been kind of playing in the non-sports and the pop culture type stuff where there really is like very limited supply on a lot of stuff. It's not like, there's 70 different one-of-one rookie cards, for a player. It's not the same like Neo, your Star Wars stuff. You collect Stellar, but even if you break it down even to all the different Star Wars sets, it's not as if there's like a zillion different, Mark Hamill options or whatever, autos. So I don't know. For me, it's Stranger Things. And the great thing about Stranger Things, it's very easy, very cut and dry. It's very limited sets. There's not a bunch of obscure things. It's like, this is what was made and that's it. Like, that's all there is. So makes it easier.
I don't know that there's anything like ultra rare that's on my list. My stuff's probably more monetary. Like, I want an X-Men 1. That would be like a grail book for me, but that's not hard to find. It's more like I just need to put the time and the work in to set aside the money to just go get one.
Yeah.
Type situation. Like, to your point, yeah, some of Star Wars auto stuff, like a Mark Hamill, his Stellar Auto is a sticker, so maybe I would go for a Masterworks. Even that, one, those are hard to find, and two, they're like $5,000, so it's like a double whammy on something like that. So I think mine are probably more monetary than like true rarity. I mean, it's just how much stuff is actually out there that is like genuinely unique, super rare. Like, there's really not that much stuff that's like that, or it's more artificial scarcity than it is actual scarce.
Well, the artificial scarce makes it scarce, though. I mean, like if you look at a lot of the one-of-ones, like what we're talking about on the sports card side, they've kind of screwed up one-of-one, over the last couple of years.
Kind of screwed up everything.
They've really screwed it up because you've got one-of-ones of all these different products, and it's just. But on the, like what we were saying on the non-sports side, just for a second, if you get a one-of-one, like the 11 auto for Stranger Things one-of-one, the Hopper one is on eBay right now. I know the guy that's got it. It's the one-of-one auto 2018. And you know, like there's a part of me. It's like if he prices at it at a certain price, I'll probably go and get it, depending on what like price point. Right now, he's at $18,000, so I'm not, I'm not going to get it at $18,000, but I'll pay attention to it. But it's just the idea again that yes, there's that artificial scarcity that they made the 1 of 1, they made the out of 10, the out of 25, but I still like the fact that it might be artificial scarcity, but it's also actually real scarcity that, you know, there's just not any more of them out there. So anyway. Steve,
sorry. So yeah, that collector stream has the best answer in chat.
Where is he?
You'll get there in about 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it's basically it's something that takes time to acquire. The journey is the story.
And it was something that I just thought about because my uncle is a huge Philadelphia Phillies fan. He always has been. He's a big Mike Schmidt fan. And in the National, in how many years ago was it? The first Chicago National we went to. I had obtained a PSA 7 O-Pee-Chee Mike Schmidt rookie card for him because he was asking for that card. And the O-Pee-Chee is a lot harder to find than the Tops, even in lower grades. But she text messaged me the other day and she's like, I need your help. Can you find me a 73 Tops Mike Schmidt graded in a 9 or a 10? And I'm like, I might be able to, but I'm going to need to know what your budget is. And she was like, she's out of touch because she's like, I'm looking around $1,000. And I'm like, yeah, well, you might want to curb your expectations a little bit because you're not going to get a 9 or a 10. You know, a 10, I mean, a 9, a PSA 9 is like a 6K card. And an 8 fluctuates right around that $1,100 mark. So I was kind of like, you're going to have to come down a little bit to where you're getting an 8. Now, I don't know if a 9 or a 10 is my uncle's all-time wish list type card. He doesn't really collect cards a whole lot other than he has some Mike Schmidt stuff. So, you know, that was kind of my question. Does he just want a really nice Mike Schmidt card, or is he specifically chasing this grade that's going to be hard to find? And not only when I find one, it's going to be very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the be all end all of his Mike Schmidt collection, probably. You know what I mean? So like, to him, that would typically probably more than likely be a grail card. To someone who doesn't do things in the hobby every day like us, if I said something to him, if I said that term to him, he wouldn't even know what I was talking about. If I was like, oh, so is that your grail card? He'd be like, what's that mean? You know what I mean? So, and also if you obtain your grail card, say for instance, you obtain your grail, this is the card I've been looking for. This is my goal. This is my huge goal. I finally got it. Then what happens? Do you move on to the next card? So does that mean you just have a multiple list? As a collector, you wouldn't quit. You wouldn't be like, well, I got it. I'm done. You know what I mean? I obtained my ultimate goal. I've obtained my card. I'm calling it quits. It would be, you would move on to the next item on your list, or
that's my struggle.
Continue to pursue other things.
That's kind of my struggle with vintage a little bit though, because if you look at now, obviously if you're talking about certain cards, T206 Honus Wagner's or something, that's a different story. But if you're looking at 50s, 60s, you know, vintage cards, they're available all over the place. It's just a matter of if you're going to go and get a very high grade of it, you know, then it's more of a chase. But for a lot of stuff there, it's just a matter of having the money. You know, it's not a matter of finding it. It's just a matter of having the money. Unless, you know, you're collecting niche vintage sets that you don't really see every day, you know, and I know that those are out there. I know there's also new sets that pop up all the time. People just don't see very often. So I know that there's nuance to this, but I guess that's kind of my struggle a little bit with vintage. There's certain players that I want. And then once I get them, then it's kind of like, okay, well, then it's just a matter of just getting a higher grade of the same rookie card, or just sitting pat where I'm at and just kind of enjoying that one. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just to me though, it's like, unless you've got, you know, kind of oddball type sets that are not very well known in vintage, it's out there. Go to the National and see how much vintage is out there. Go to the Philly Card Show. It's everywhere. It's just a matter of finding it at the right price point. So I don't know. I know Orlando's probably going to scream at me for that, but I mean, it's just what I've seen. It's just kind of been my experience. He's actually just punched the wall. His wife is like, Orlando, are you okay? And he's like, I'm about to throw this TV across the room.
I just got called the Flipping Steve chick. I thought that was pretty funny.
Flipping Stephanie.
It's at 9:37, so you'll get to it in like 15.
Oh yeah, we've got time. We've got time. We don't want to rush here. We don't want to rush.
Flipping Stephanie.
So Rob,
don't worry, Ogie.
You're looking for X-Men 1, but like, what do you have like a big chase card at this point, or like kind of where are you with that, or is it just a matter of like, I want to add these autos as they pop up type thing? As I see,
yeah, I'm more in. I think in the current market, you are better off to not have a target and just kind of see what crawls out of the woodwork, because there's like in the non-sport niche markets that I follow, I'm seeing, and comics too, like there are more things coming to market right now that you don't normally see come to market. Like you're starting to see some things come out of the woodwork a little bit. Like I mean, even the Obi-Wan auto that I bought the other day, like those come up, but the blue parallels never come up with that card. I haven't seen a blue parallel of that posted in a year plus.
Hobby Champ says it. The market, like we always say, the market always collapses November 2023. We've been saying that. It always happens. Same time.
So I'm just kind of letting things come to me.
Flawless God also just mentioned in the comments about the eBay thing that we were going to touch on tonight.
Yes, the eBay thing. Let me we'll go ahead. I mean, Neo, you made a video about it. Do you want to kick it off, and then Steve, you can talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. Auto pay for auctions, it's slowly getting rolled out. I don't think everybody has it yet, but some people in the comments of my video today commented something they saw it pop up for them. So it's, I mean, we knew that this was coming for a while now. I think SCI did like an IG post on it like a month or two ago. And as soon as they did the auto pay for the best offer, buy it now, you knew that this was probably going to eventually roll this way. It's not perfect. Like they have to figure out combined shipping. That's probably the biggest issue. The second biggest issue is I don't think you could use your eBay spendable funds. So like, what's the point of eBay spendable funds if I can't use them to buy things on eBay? Unless it's a buy it now only, basically. So there's really no need to keep money in spendable funds, which I actually kind of like doing. It was like, I would just sell a bunch of stuff and leave the money on there and then use that to buy something big like the Obi-Wan auto when it would pop up. And then it was basically like I was getting the card for free because that money never really existed to me because it just kind of sat on eBay. It seems like those are the two biggest issues, I think, is the combined shipping and this. And then like, you know, our channel partners, ComC, like how does this work with using ComC credit to pay for auctions? I need to email them and see how they're handling that, or if maybe they're going to be exempt from this or something like that. I don't know.
Doesn't it feel like they're kind of like small issues though that they'll probably work out? You know, like I mean,
you would think, but I feel like they should have they should have had the combined shipping thing a better solution for that prior to rolling this out. Yeah. This feels like someone rolled this out that doesn't know and understand the buyers and sellers of cards.
Yeah, it probably works really well with most everything on the site.
Yeah, but like when you're talking about like DC Sports ending 185,000 auctions on a Wednesday night and you want to buy 20 things from them, now all of a sudden you're getting pinged $5 of an item for shipping or whatever it is, and then you got to wait for them to credit back to you. Like that's the part they needed to have, I think, a better solution for. But you know, the thing I said in my video today is like, are comps about to get even lower? Because one, people will get annoyed by this or pissed by this, and two, I don't. It's not going to completely eliminate shill bidding, but
it's like we're about to find out how much of the card market is shill bidding and how much.
Yeah, because if someone still wants to do it, they could do it, but it is a little bit more of a pain in the ass now. You know, people were talking about like returns and stuff like that, but if a card goes through eBay Authenticity Guaranteed, that makes it pretty difficult to return that. Like, I guess they could charge back, but I don't know. I would feel at that point you'd be covered under eBay seller protection.
Yeah, it feels kind of messy. Just all the back and forth.
Be like, I don't know, like, is that worth jumping through all those hoops as a shill bidder? Like, okay, cool. I shill bid up this card for a higher comp, but now I got to get it. And then I have to sit with $1,000 charge. Credit cards have like a 20% interest rate. Now I got to do the charge back. Like that just seems like a lot of hassle for this. And I think the shill bidding thing has been it's so easy to do. There's like zero barrier to entry to it that everyone was like, yeah, sure, whatever. But now there's just like a little bit of barrier to entry to it. And I think a lot of people will be like, this isn't worth it anymore. So even if it gets rid of 70% of it, it's worth it.
Yeah, it'll be kind of interesting. Like if one auction house all of a sudden starts to get a ton of business, that like it didn't necessarily, like all of a sudden, like the Sunday night auctions or whatever for like these various places, all of a sudden, like people are like, they can't shill anymore. So they're pulling off of eBay and trying to go somewhere where they can possibly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, when I hear stuff about like, there's been stuff sitting at like auction houses are trying to gather payment like a month later. Like what? What do you mean you're trying to get payment a month later? What the hell is that? Like, so how many of these sales are just like, like how many are actually going to get paid for at these large auction houses?
Yeah, someone in chat said like Whatnot figured this out forever ago. Like they do auto payment and combined shipping. Like if you go into a Card Collector 2 live stream and buy a bunch of stuff, you pay for it immediately, and they have some magic figured out on the back end to figure out shipping. So it's not like, this isn't. If you're bidding on a card, pay for it. Like it's not hard. And I hate I don't want to sound like, arrogant asshole, but like people in the comments were, some people will be like, well, but I don't get paid till Friday. Like if you don't have the money, don't bid on the card. Sorry. Like I don't know what else to tell you.
If anything, it might help people like to not.
Yeah.
Like maybe wait till Friday. I mean, you might lose it, but you also maybe don't need to buy it or whatever. So there you go.
Right now, I think when they first roll it out, it's basically going to be more in favor of the sellers before they work out the kinks on the buyers' end, because they want to eliminate unpaid auctions, which causes a lot of it's a pain in the ass. A lot of people don't even sell on eBay anymore because of something gets shielded up and somebody doesn't pay, because shield bidding works two ways. It works to run up a comp, but it also, on the other end, will hurt the seller. I had a card I had to relist 3 separate times, and I had to keep blocking the bidders on it. Eventually, I had to block the bidders on it because I realized they were going around shilling this card on multiple auctions. And my auction would get down to the very end 2 weeks in a row, and they would shield bid it up, and then they wouldn't pay me, and I would have to relist it. And that card should have sold 2 weeks earlier, and then I finally got an actual buyer for it. And so yeah, it is going to eliminate that. I get where, but I also get where Neo is coming from as a buyer. Typically, you should have the funds to pay for something when you're going to buy it. I don't keep money in my eBay funds. I always transfer everything directly to my bank account. So, but I also understand where Neo is coming from with that, because I do have other, I do have other platforms that I do keep money on that I just spend out of. So I buy and sell out of those funds. I don't do that on eBay though. So I see where, saving up money on eBay, almost as if that money is play money to buy something.
It's fake money. I call it fake money.
Yeah.
It never hits the checking. If it never hits the real checking account, it doesn't exist.
But I think things like that are all coming from a buyer's standpoint is stuff that they will work the kinks out on. I think they're trying to roll this out as quickly as possible to protect sellers. Because believe it or not, they haven't done a whole lot to protect sellers. Until they finally put in the return policy. But look how long it took us to get the guarantee, the authenticity guarantee was to protect buyers.
I think that, I feel way more confident selling a card that goes through authenticity guarantee than before.
Do you feel more confident selling an authenticated card than you do?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I feel
no, but I'm
better.
saying in comparing to buying an authenticated card,
I think it's pretty equal.
I just don't like when. So I've had one get kicked back where it's a card I really, really wanted. It was numbered to 10, but they put the number wrong. So it was like.
So they've changed that. I don't know if you were
like. Okay. Well, this is like 9 months.
If it's minor like that, they contact you now.
Okay.
To see if you still want it.
They also put in the return policy at one point too, where it was 3 days after the item is received. Yeah. That's like the window, when it used to be like 30, and people were returning things based on how the market would ebb and flow. If a card tanked a week after you bought it, people were trying to return it. So eBay implemented that to protect sellers as well. That was one of the first things that they put in. let's, for the most part, most of the shady stuff that happens on eBay is from buyers. And the one thing that could happen as being shady as a seller has been solved with the authentication program. So, some things might slip through the cracks now and then. And there was always an authentication program to an extent. I remember years and years and years ago, this was probably in like 2000. You couldn't sell a Michael Jordan 86 Fleer on eBay without it already being authenticated by a third party. So you couldn't list a raw Michael Jordan rookie card. That was something that goes back 20 years. So, at least 15 years. So that was already kind of implemented to an extent. So, just to pose the question that we had a minute ago, if you were to go onto eBay and buy an ungraded Michael Jordan Fleer, if people were allowed to sell them raw, you wouldn't buy it because you wouldn't have that peace of mind that it was real. But as a seller, I don't think that would affect you as much because you're the seller. You don't have the risk of losing money on it.
For the seller, for me, what it's about is more the shipping aspect of it. I know, like, once it gets to CGC and they authenticate it, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Like, it's all eBay's problem.
Right.
Like, if something goes wrong with that, like on a high value card that's like signature required or whatever, and like, they don't get a signature, or they just drop it in the box or whatever, or it's like one of those things where they go to deliver it and they don't scan it, they delivered it, so it shows undelivered, and then the buyer's like, hey, I don't know, I never got it, tracking shows I never got it. Like, you don't have to deal with any of that once it goes through authenticity guarantee, because then eBay's shipping it, not you. Like, once it goes through guarantee, that's it. Like, from the time it ships to them, to the buyer, like, you're done. Like, you're not on the hook anymore. That's why I like it.
I would say those shipping discrepancies are fewer and far between than authentication issues prior to that.
Probably, but just when you're shipping like a $2,000 or $3,000 card, like, that's just one thing that's kind of like always in the back of your mind of like, oh god, if this is the one that goes sideways.
Because we just went through it with the whole chasing cardboard and the unauthenticated autographs being sold, where somebody was purchased a fake autograph. It was like, if that had to go through the authenticity phase, the buyer would have been protected.
Well, I don't think they don't authenticate non-pack pulled autos, I thought.
Right. That's my point. If they were authenticated, the buyer would have,
I'm saying it wouldn't have never gone through guarantee.
Not for that price, but
qualified.
Right, but it would also.
How does that work? Is it under a certain pricing threshold for like?
It's under 250, I think now.
So if it's an unauthenticated autograph pack that's not pack pulled, if it's under 250, then it's fine.
I don't think it goes through guarantee period, full stop, regardless of price. If it's a non-pack,
so if it's $1,000, it's not going through.
Because it's a non-pack pulled auto. They don't guarantee those. I'm almost positive. I could be wrong on that. It's not something I buy that often.
That's nightmare fuel, right there.
That's why I don't think they want to deal with it, because they don't want to deal with authenticating the auto. Like, CGC doesn't authenticate autos now anyway.
Yeah, CGC doesn't, and SGC doesn't.
Well, they do.
SGC doesn't authenticate non-pack pulled autos. I thought they did.
They grade them. They grade them.
I'm trolling.
Oh, trolling.
Got him.
Kind of grading company doesn't authenticate.
I like
autos.
CGC because they do authenticate, but it's only in person, eyewitnessed. Signatures.
Oh yeah,
stuff. I like that. I think that's cool.
That's their. I just sent cards in for the Jim Lee signing. To me, this is completely switching topics, but that's like the one major bullet CGC has in the gun to be like a major player on the grading side, is their CGC signature series, because nobody else does anything like that. Like, to be able to send in for an auto that 100% is legit because it was witnessed. Like, that's so much better than, oh yeah, that looks like so-and-so's auto.
Yeah, I think Hobby Chance take this out of context. He says just what eBay sellers want, people not bidding. I don't want people bidding on my auctions that aren't going to pay.
Yeah, what's the difference if they bid and they're not going to pay? Like, that's basically not bidding.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's just causing me a headache in the end, and then I got to wait 7 days, cancel the sale, and then relist it and list it for another 7 to 10 days and resell and hope I get another legit buyer, or hope I get a legit buyer. second time around.
Or that something hasn't changed, that the card value went down another 40%.
Yeah, and then the whole like you're waiting 4 days for somebody that's not paying, like it adds insult to injury. Insult to injury. All right, what was the other topic? LeBron and Bronny. Are you going to take out a second mortgage on your house to get Bron and Bronny stuff, Neo? I could see that probably.
I want him in a Cavs uniform, not St. Vincent St. Mary.
That's all you want is just the Cavs.
I think so. Like the curious thing about that whole thing is like nothing else has come out about that. Like I thought maybe Fanatics or Topps would like drop their details since it completely leaked. But I think those boxes go on sale tomorrow.
So we're gonna find out one way or the other, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Bowman Chrome basketball Bowman Chrome U goes on sale tomorrow, and that I think is what that card is from. But you feel like they'd be further ahead on that from like a marketing push to make people aware, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe it's fake news. Did we all report fake news?
No, I think that was pretty well sourced.
I mean,
fakers.
Darren Ravel reported on it, so
I mean, once he tweets it, like I feel fairly confident making the video. Like,
hey, we're just aggregators. We're just taking it. We're taking it and pushing it around.
Yeah. I think I've only legitimately broken one story, like that was legitimately like I had it before anybody else. It was the Beckett thing.
Yeah. Well, you've had information on stuff. We all have information on stuff and just held on to it. So you're not like.
I don't know that it's hold on to it. It's that I won't run with it unless I could double source it. Like I'll give a perfect example. When PWCC Fanatic stuff was going on, I think we all knew something was going to happen. We just didn't know what. Like they were either going to go out of business or they were going to get bailed out. It was going to be one or the other. And I think we all knew that, but we didn't know which one it was going to be.
Yeah.
And like a lot, like some people, I think you did a video on it, and I was like, you know what, I'm not, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to panic. I didn't want to like panic people into making decisions when I wasn't 100% sure what was actually going on. You know what I mean? Like that was basically a coin flip of they were either going to like not exist anymore or get bailed.
Yeah, well, that's why you just add a question mark at the end of the title. PWCC issues? Question mark?
My problem is that I come from a household where my dad was in the media, and if I don't double source something, he'll break my legs.
Yeah, he was a sports journalist, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a photographer.
Oh, okay.
And I went to journalism school for a hot minute because that's what I was going to do too. And so it's just like ingrained in my mind of like, you actually have to source stuff, not just run with shit.
Yeah. Well, I think for the most part, I mean, I'm reacting like we're all reacting mostly.
Yeah, most of the time someone else. We are not the news breakers 98% of the time. I got one. That's it. When the Beckett CEO got fired or let go, whatever it was.
I get all my current events from you guys.
I'm just fast. I get the video out fast. That's my claim to fame.
Won't be laughing when the eBay Hobby Champ's coming in hot with the eBay stuff.
Hobby Champs hates the auto pay thing. I remember
he's
always mad about it.
I think it's worth watching though as we move into 2024, kind of what the volume looks like. See what the volume looks like in general.
I mean, eBay is a monstrous business that has existed for a long time. If they thought that this was going to cost them bids on items, and if they thought it was going to cost them members on using their platform to buy cards significantly, I don't think that they would implement this. They've probably been like, hey, let's run some tests, let's do this, let's do that, whatever. And if it does affect their bottom line, they might remove it. But I don't think that eBay as a business would put in something that they think was going to cost them or going to cost people selling on their platform money, because that's how they make their money. It just wouldn't be smart business.
Yeah.
I think their problem isn't so much that they're worried about losing buyers. I think that they're worried about losing sellers to like Whatnot, Fanatics Live, stuff like that. Like if people don't post inventory, then there's nothing for no one to go there to buy. And if sellers keep getting pissed because what happened to you, where you had to relist the same card 5 times over again, like that's annoying. Like that's a pain in the ass. Like you run a 7-day auction, you expect to sell the card in 7 days, not a month, because you have to keep relisting it.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we know? I mean, we don't know. Maybe DC Sports and all these monster consigners are, I mean, eBay probably talks to them on a regular basis. They might be in their ears saying, hey, we want auto pay for auctions. Like, we'll figure out the combined shipping, but this is a joke. Like, I would love to know, like, how many auctions does DC Sports run a week? Like, what's their percentage of unpaid auctions?
Yeah, and it must have been a big enough problem on the seller side where eBay was like, well, we might lose bidders, but we can't lose all these sellers if no one's going to pay for stuff or whatever. So maybe it is kind of like a short-term pain, but long-term gain thing.
Yeah, that's the X factor that we don't know. Like the big consigners could be completely on board with this, and we would just have no idea.
I don't think I've sold. I'm just going to say 5 max, and I don't think it's any, but I'll say 5 just so I'm not a liar. Cards on eBay this entire year. I just myself, as somebody who was selling a lot of cards, have kind of been done with it. I use other platforms. I use Instagram, I use MySlabs, and I sell
back alleys.
It's like I don't do eBay that much anymore. It just turned into like a big headache. I still use it as a buyer. I use it more as a buyer than I do any other platform, but I use it less as a seller.
When is the best time to buy Victor Wembanyama? Mike Petty comes in hot with wait 2 to 3 weeks when he gets bent in half like a pretzel and he's out for the year.
Probably about 2 years. If we've learned anything, just don't buy rookies for like 3 years, and 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, wait for the next hype draft class.
Wait for Bronny. Wait for Bronny Prism, and then all in.
That's a good point. Flawless God has there at 9:59 about best way for eBay to keep sellers would be to drop fees. That's a really a good point because their fees are pretty steep, especially when as a seller you typically didn't have a whole lot of protection. You were paying more fees than any other platform charged, and you were probably having the least amount of protection as a seller than any other platform offers.
But you also get the most eyeballs.
That's true.
Oh, first off, I think I know the answer to this, but any Type 1 photos for Neo?
No, actually, it was funny coming off the National, because that's when Type 1 started getting a little bit buzzy. I actually texted my dad while I was at the National, and I'm like, because he covered Jordan and anytime he would come to Cleveland.
You're like,
do you have any Jordan photos laying around? He has all his negatives, but like 10 years ago, he never really printed much like physical prints because they were going to the paper, not like a personal collection or whatever. But he had all his physical negatives, which is also kind of a thing. But he scanned them all in and got rid of them because they just take up a ton of space. So he has all, I don't know what that is. It's like a Type 4. I forget what that is when you have the digital negative, but not the original. Like that's still something, but it's nowhere near as valuable. So he shot sports from the mid 80s all the way up until like the mid 2015s. Like,
oh wow, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I mean, he covered.
You're like, thanks for nothing, Dad. Talk to you later. All right, Lennox says, I don't like the eBay auto pay, but I'll just stop bidding. No need to get worked up. But what if eBay's got the card that you want? That's the issue. If it's something that's fairly rare. I mean, a lot of times it's like a lot of people don't like to deal with eBay, but they just have a lot of the good. There's a lot of good inventory on eBay that pops up. So that's kind of the thing.
Yeah, I check my safe searches multiple times a day.
All right. For me, I'm not going to say anybody should react any certain way. Everybody's going to have their own feelings about it. They hate it. They love it.
Yeah,
it's unfair. It's fair. It's great for the buyer. It's great for the seller. I'm going to stop using eBay altogether. Everybody has a right to react and buy and have their own opinion on however it is. So when I talk about it, I'm talking about it from the standpoint of how I use eBay and how it would affect me. So as a buyer, I always paid right out the gate anyway. In fact, I love that option on the buy it nows because sometimes I'll make an offer on something and I won't get back to my phone to check a response from the seller for maybe hours. So I like that option because a lot of times they'll have accepted my offer. It will already be paid for and be shipped before I even realize that I want it. So, I'll get a notification saying your item has been shipped, and I'll be like, oh, they must have accepted my best offer. It's already been paid for and everything. Good to go. So I like that option on Buy It Nows. It makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, that was the worst when like someone would send you an offer and you would accept, like someone would make an offer on a card you were selling, you would accept it, and then they have 4 days to pay still, and then they don't pay. It's like, why the hell did you submit the offer? Like, I love that there's actually, because that's still not turned on for everybody. So like when you look at like the offers that you get, and I just did this like a week ago because I got that PSA order back, it tells you like, if you accept this offer, we will auto bill the thing and you will get paid like instantly. And I had 2 offers and they were like $3 to $5 apart. And I took the one that was less because it was auto pay. It was like $95 instead of $90. It wasn't anything crazy, but I was like, you know what? I'm just hitting this one because I know I'm going to get paid for it.
And it just happened. It just happened with me today. There was a $500 card that I put an offer in on. And by the time I got back to my house from running some errands and stuff, it had said, order complete, shipped. And I'm like, oh, nice. They accepted my offer and it's in the mail. As opposed to me going back and then having to pay. By the time the post office was closed, I might not have got around to doing it tonight. And then I wouldn't even have gotten my item as quickly as a buyer. As a buyer, I want my item as close to the time that I buy it as I can, which means paying quickly often means shipped quickly. So I did win a card recently, though, where someone waited 9 days to ship it.
Oh.
They printed the label out. They printed the label out to make it, to start the process off, but it didn't go in transit until 9 days after. I'm like, so you printed out the shipping label 3 days after, just to stall, so it looks like it was in process. But I'm checking the tracking number, and I'm like, it's still sitting at the facility that printed the label. It's never even been picked up by the post office or dropped off.
Vintage card collector. I don't get the appeal of type 1 photos that aren't iconic images moments. Those are super expensive. What's the point of a photo from a random game? Yeah. And I think too, it's kind of like, especially when they're just starting to grade this stuff, anything where they're just starting to grade it, it's like, what's the supply out there for all these different photos? Are there like a zillion different type 1, 2, 3, 4 photos? I'd almost rather just wait for it to be a little bit more established, because there is this, there are a lot of these type 1 photos that are selling for crazy, crazy money. And it's like, what sort of supply is out there? It's going to take a while for all of that to kind of unwind. And then how much graded supply, and then what are good prices for things? I've heard people talk about type 1 photos, 5 years ago, they were dirt cheap, just like with everything else. And now all of a sudden they're selling for $1 zillion. So is it like, another kind of little bubble? Is it kind of the next thing that people have moved on to grade it out and, resell and so forth, which is fine. I think that they're cool. I think there's a lot of cool stuff out there. I think that's part of the issue. There's a lot of cool, I've got a viewer that collects graded CGC graded Sports Illustrateds, the first Sports Illustrated for Mike Tyson or Michael Jordan or whoever. But again, it's like how much of these Sports Illustrateds are sitting out there. And part of what makes me think about that too is, and Neo and Steve are also paying some attention to the comic book side. One thing that I've noticed over the last couple of years, if I'm looking at the pop reports for certain comics for key books, going back a couple of years compared to now, there's literally like thousands more copies that have been graded now for key books. That's showing me like, okay, like how rare is this book? If, even if it's from like the 70s, 60s or whatever, like stuff is coming out of the woodwork. And, same with all this stuff. So I have the same issue with graded video games, because it's a very new kind of thing that's being graded. How much is, like what's a high population? What's a low population? It's got to kind of like figure itself out. So anyway,
I do think on the type 1 photos, and I don't have anything like that. It's not my area of expertise at all, but I think the one thing that would be in favor of the rarity on those would be a lot of people went digital and scanned all that stuff in. So like how many people actually hoarded and kept like the physical, actual original printing from, Jordan's rookie year or whatever. Did you really hang on to that photo for 30 years? Because like most people would be like, this is just a random photo of Michael Jordan. I want the image. I'm just going to scan it in to make sure I have the image forever. Like I don't need to hold on to the physical thing. So that would be like the one thing in favor of like a lot of people just cleaning that stuff up over the last 20 years. And like, I don't need this physical thing anymore.
Well, and then how much of the demand is kind of the organic collectability of it? And then how much of the demand is speculation, flipping,
pump and dump?
How much of it is that? No, I mean, I think that's a good question though, because, and there's nothing wrong if you are the person that is, hey, look, this is a new thing I'm buying, and I'm buying raw and I'm grading and I'm selling. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But it's the same question that we come back to with sports cards. How many people in today's market are flippers / investors versus buy and hold collector type folks, and for which cards and that sort of thing? It's no different with any of this other stuff. It's no different at all. How many people are buying Type 1 photos because they're badass, they want to hang on to them, they're cool display pieces in their office or whatever, versus how many are buying, grading to resell? Like that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I want to know. But that will all like filter itself out over the years.
Yeah, like somebody said earlier, I think with the Type 1s, it's not something that I have gotten into much. I think that they're neat because most of them, you do see some sports ones, but I see a lot of them of rock and roll stars and movie stars that I think that
Merlin's got some cool ones.
Yeah, that I think that are really neat. But again, I think the photo has to have some sort of history / significance to it, not just it's old. I don't mean that by history. Okay, it's 30 years old. I mean, it's an image that people know or remember or have seen on the front of a Rolling Stone magazine or something like that. And again, if that image is available for sale, it's probably already like very expensive. So there goes any kind of like speculative like investment type, because you're already probably going to have to pay, because it's probably already really a high-end collectible within its own market, because we're talking about sports cards, but we're not just talking about people who collect photos and the whole other thing, like people who collect historical items. People who collect World War II memorabilia. There might be photos from World War II Type 1. And that's a whole nother market. That's people who collect, military stuff.
And then it's like, okay, if you collect Civil War guns, do you also collect Civil War Type 1 photos or whatever, World War II?
Right. Yeah. So it branches out into all kinds of different collectible markets, which could make, an iconic image of something. The demand of it will make it valuable. Yeah, but it's also going to make it really, really hard to obtain.
That's what I meant. Sorry, vintage card collector, the authentication part, not the grading part for the photo. Sorry, I think I said grading, but that's what I meant. Just the slabbing them up. Yeah, probably a little bit of a bubble. Photos would be something that's cool. I like as it kind of like over the 5 years down the road, 10 years, I'd love to look at what that market looks like, because a bunch of stuff will come out of the woodwork. And then, you'll either have a market or you won't, but there's probably a lot of money to be made to be kind of first in if you're buying, authenticating and selling. But I don't, buying now I feel like is pretty risky, depending on what it is.
And a couple things, like also with this, they are hard to store and display. I say that about comic books. That's why I don't collect comic books hardcore. I just keep a couple of my favorite issues. And then, it feels like a trading card is like the perfect size for a collectible. It's big enough for you to look at it and enjoy it. It's big enough for you to store it in your house. It's big enough for you to put it in your pocket and walk outside with it, right? As a kid, I carried my baseball cards in my back pocket sometimes. So, it's almost like the perfect size for a collectible. And sometimes we complain about larger size cards when we talk about the tall boys and things like that. I know people love their vintage Kareem Abdul-Jabbar rookie cards and stuff. And that's the way the card was made. But wouldn't you rather for it to be a normal size card so that you could put it in your slabs, right? Not that it's not a great card. Don't blow me up in the comments. Oh, I can't believe he doesn't like the Abdul-Jabbar or Lou Alcindor rookie card. It's just, people don't like the larger size cards typically. And then also on this, how's the ticket market going? Does anybody know?
That's a good point. Yeah, that was
Not at all.
Because I feel like this could fall under the same category where people have been collecting old tickets for long periods of time, and then they got a rush. They hit a spike of popularity, and people were talking about buying and selling them and collecting them. They were going up in value, and then I haven't heard much. And I don't know if that just coincides with the collectible market as a whole going down, or if it was just a loss kind of in interest for what was starting to become like a buzzy type thing. And I don't know if you can kind of group the type 1 photos in with that or not.
It also just doesn't feel like there's enough money to go around right now for the money that's playing in the market. Like if we go back 3 years when the slush money was all in and interest rates were at all-time lows and everybody was like, oh man, like cash is trash, I need to make sure I'm in assets. Then it was like, yeah, let's throw money at all these different things. But nowadays, cash is king. And now people have their money on the sidelines, big money or like investor types, big spec money. It's moving out of collectibles. It's been moving out of collectibles. It's in cash. It's going back at, it's the money market at 5% or whatever. But I guess the real question though is eventually it will probably turn back the other way to where we are at kind of that lower interest rate, type environment again. I don't know how, maybe it's years, but then you've got kind of more of that money coming back into various assets. But right now it feels like between the tickets, type 1s, the cards, the comics, you've got all these different areas. There's only so much money to go around, it feels like. And so I don't know. I think that plays a part in it.
Vintage Sports Shack. This is a cool comment just because it relates to me. The next comment down at 1012.
All right.
He has a real question. He has a photo from his uncle of Brooks Robinson with his autograph. It's a 8.5 by 11. What do you do with it? Well, personally speaking, the uncle that I talked about earlier, that's a huge Mike Schmidt fan, actually gave me an 8 by 12 of Brooks Robinson autographed when I was a kid. So this is just a relatable story. Exact same photo, or maybe not the same photo, exact same size, autograph, exact same player given to me by my uncle. So I just thought that's just a cool comment.
Weird.
And it is. And
vintage stole your identity.
I mean, what would you do with it? You could get it authenticated if you want. Mine's authenticated because it came from a card show. If it was mine and it came from my uncle, say the one my uncle gave me wasn't authenticated, I would just take it and I would keep it and I would enjoy it. And I would be like, this was given to me from my uncle. He would have no reason to give me a fake Brooks Robinson unless it was to make me feel good as a kid, And if I don't ever know any better, that's great. Because from a value standpoint, Brooks signed tons and tons of stuff. I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan. I'm from that area. Brooks Robinson is known for being a person that has signed like more than like anybody out there, whether it's pack pulled or whether it's just signing in person or signing at the park, going to a little league banquet. I mean, he was very good at signing for people. So from a value standpoint, it's going to be worth more to you as something that your uncle gave you than it would be putting it up for sale and getting $15 for it. So again, I just wanted to comment on that because I thought that it was pretty cool that mine right in that closet door right back there is my photo. I wish I had it out. I would show it to you.
This is why Neo's a little quiet.
It's not one way. It's one of the two. They're down 6. 6 with 4 minutes to go.
Oh, there's still 4 minutes. I thought it was over.
No.
Flawless is saying old historical dated newspapers are the next movement. I don't know what happened to Steve.
I have newspapers laying around.
Well, there you go. Crazy. The problem I see with tickets is most don't have eye appeal, very blah looking, some exceptions, but many are boring. Hustle Crow, that's what I've been saying. People parked money in NFT, crypto, collectibles, expecting runaway inflation, recession, dollar crash. None of that happened. But it was headed that way, Hustle Crow. I think that's part of the issue. It's not the issue. It's just that it was almost kind of like a challenge to the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve was up for that challenge and raised rates. But I think that a lot of people just didn't think the Federal Reserve had it in them to do that, to go whatever it was, 15 straight months raising rates to combat inflation the way that they did. But they proved that wrong. So, but I think a lot of people were betting on this to actually occur, to where the Federal Reserve stays a little lax, doesn't, just lets it kind of run a little bit and doesn't raise rates. They did do that. So that's obviously, but then look what happened. The big money reacted to it.
I had to get it. I had to get it.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell happened to the camera?
To Steve, my best, Brooks Robinson. And it's been in this old wood frame since like the late 80s when my uncle got it for me. I put it in this frame myself. I think as a kid, I went down to the dollar store and bought this frame for like $1. And it hung on my wall for a long time as a kid. So
that's cool.
It's still in there. And I've moved multiple times. Had this for a long time. So it's just cool that he actually brought that up, and I have one.
Yeah, Kev, you could be right as far as tickets. I mean, we don't use, it's all digital now. You're right. For my Saints,
mess my hair up.
For my New Orleans Saints tickets, they're all digital. Steve, do you hear me talking, or am I like Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense? I'm just dead and don't realize it.
No, I hear you. I'm just trying to.
Okay. Yeah, your hair is.
Now it looks awesome.
Now you look like Martha Stewart. All right, but yeah, Kev, you might have a point. I mean, there aren't collectible. There's not physical game tickets, so you might have a point. I know for like my Saints season tickets, I have to pay extra if I want to have them be physical tickets, and they'll send me tickets, but it's expensive. But maybe I should do it if nobody else is doing it. Huh? I just have an idea.
When I had Cavs season tickets, they gave us as a season ticket holder gift, because our tickets were digital. At the end of the year, you would get a commemorative ticket that had your section, seat, and row number on it, and it was like one year it was like a metal thing that came on like a little thing that you could display. And like the year after they won the championship, it had like LeBron with the block on one side and Kyrie hitting the 3 on the other side. So, but it wasn't like an individual game ticket. It was just more of like, hey, you were a season ticket holder this year. Here was like your seat row number. Obviously no value to it, but it was kind of cool as a season ticket holder to have one.
Yeah, that is cool. Steve's camera sponsored by Panini. Now you look like what's that one? The lead singer for what's that band with the guy that's got the spiky hair, like the '90s band? Oh,
that narrows it down.
No, a lot of them.
I know.
That was the style.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like 5 different dudes, so it's probably like
would it have been like 90s grunge?
Yeah, well, Nick Carter comes to mind. That's like one.
No, he's not a 90s band.
No, I'm thinking of this is a rock star guy, but I'm like completely drawing a blank on his name. Oh, Mike Petty throws Green Day into the chat. We are probably going to go next year. Green Day is traveling around with Smashing Pumpkins. And I don't know, me and my wife were on like a 90s.
1997 again?
Yes, it is. We're on like a 90s concert kick. We went and saw Third Eye Blind last year. We just bought tickets for Bush. They're coming in. We went and saw 50 Cent, and he actually is like 50 now, in his 50s. I don't know. It seemed like it. Yeah, he did fine. But yeah, so we're on a little bit of a 90s, early 2000s kick. We'll probably go see Ja Rule here soon. Oh God. Oh, okay. I'm caught up on chat, man. You can tell there's a lot of basketball on tonight because the chat is it's not flowing quite the same way. We got over 100 people though.
How are the Cavs doing?
They're down 12
tonight or on the year. How are they doing on the year?
It just got real quiet.
They started slow because Garland and Jared Allen and someone else was hurt to start the season.
Man, like some of those guys.
They've only had their full lineup for like 3 games, I think, so far.
So who's the best in the East right now?
Boston by a mile, and then the 76ers.
Ooh, I haven't been paying attention.
Which actually, that was the big game tonight. The 76ers beat Boston. But it's them too. That's the top of the East is Boston and Philadelphia.
What about the Bucks with Lillard?
Struggle bus.
No this was a topic on our last live stream.
No defense.
Was it like game one? He scored 40 points, and then ever since he's like me out there, going like 2 for 14.
He's playing pretty okay. It's just they can't stop anybody.
It's ruined the NBA. There's no friggin' defense.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you trade one of the best defensive point guards in the league in Drew Holiday for one of the worst defensive guards in the league. I mean, Dame's awesome. He's a flamethrower on the offensive end, but he can't guard anybody.
Yeah, why
and
not?
I think their actual bigger problem is their new coach doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Why not just run it back again? Like you have Giannis and Drew Holiday, and they had good role players. Like just go with the same guys.
I think they feel like they panicked there a little bit. I think Giannis was putting a little pressure on the organization to make some moves.
Yeah. Okay.
The doobies.
Yeah, many of these photos are one of one, piece of history, prices of 100-year-old photos of players like Ruth. Yeah, I mean, for certain players, certain photos, certainly. I guess my issue is just not knowing how many of these original photos are out there and how many are special. And kind of like what Steve said, if it's a random picture, like what's special? Like what's the, what's going to make it stand out? Unless it's just that they found, 18 whatever type 1 photos for Babe Ruth, and there's only 18, and in 10 years from now there's only 18. Like if there's a very limited supply, that makes sense. But if they keep finding them, that'll be the what makes a special thing.
Yeah, and I get that some of them are like history because
for certain players, Babe Ruth is the outlier.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, honestly, he probably has more photos than he does cards, right? And he doesn't have many cards. So it's like, I think when you're comparing photos of Michael Jordan to photos of Babe Ruth, it's kind of like an apples and oranges comparison because photos back then, period, were tough. You didn't have people running around snapping photos with cameras, nice fancy cameras and stuff all over the place for newspapers and things like that, for advertisements and such, as much as you did, in the 70s and 80s and definitely the 90s and on. It's almost like comparing, baseball cards in the mid 90s to baseball cards back then when you're talking about the amounts and print runs and things.
Yeah. We'll see. Throw it in the we'll see bucket. We will see.
Yeah, because honestly, of Babe Ruth, I would like any nice old photo of him because I would feel like I had a piece of history. Now, Michael Jordan being someone that I watched, there's so many things of Michael Jordan I could go out there and get that I think that I would choose over a photo.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the big draw to pre-war baseball is the historical element and the fact that, there is not a lot of options. It's exactly what you said. You have Babe Ruth bats, cards, photos. It's fairly limited. Like Michael Jordan's got fucking Pez dispensers, probably. Like the guy's got like everything, on the planet. So yeah, I get it. Guys, we're at an hour 23, and your boy's got to get up early tomorrow. So let me get caught up. I'm only 4 minutes behind on chat, so I think we're at a pretty good place. Any other topics that we wanted to hit on? You guys wanted to hit on before we dive off?
Yeah, no. Hey guys, just keep those notifications on. You never know when a video is going to pop up. See, for people who post videos every day, you don't need to have a notification bell on. Because you have
a better chance of finding type 1 Babe Ruth photograph than Filthy Steve dropping a video.
There's going to be a video every morning. You don't need a notification to tell you. It's like clockwork. But
what's going to be big in 30 years? What's going to be big are Flippin' Steve video NFTs. The NFTs from the YouTube videos that they're going to be very sparse. They're few and far between.
I do got to ask Mike Petty a question because of his comment that coming at the bottom. Did Michael McDonald sound good these days? And did they do Yamo Be There?
I don't know any of these songs or whatever. I have no idea what you're talking
about. Yamo Be There. Yamo Be There. Everybody knows that song.
Oh, now that you sang it.
I actually
don't get him a copyright strike.
Last year, that was actually my fantasy football team's name was Yamo Be There, and people were like, "Why is your team named Yamo Be There?" Because I was like, "Because at the end of the year in the Super Bowl, Yamo Be There," and they would be like, "Okay."
Bob Boozle. Flip and Steve videos drop as often as Haley's Comet.
Hey, and everybody gathers to see it.
I think you need to keep the hair, though. I'm starting to get used to the hair.
I don't know how you guys deal with hair, man. This stuff has been more of a pain than it has been. I guess
Needs a little product.
I guess what you would think you do for beauty, right?
Neo just slipped into a depression after the Cavs just went down by 12. I think we end on that note. I think that's a perfect note to end on, guys.
Thunder are good, man. They played the Thunder tonight. Thunder legit good.
That's not preseason. I've been saying Thunder are probably going to win the title. They're that good. It's not the Cavs. It's not the Cavs. It's the Thunder are that good.
Man, you must have a lot of SGA cards.
God, man.
They're all ending tonight. Well, the Thunder are pretty good.
No one can bid on them because of auto pay, so I'm screwed either way.
Just buy it now, baby.
All right, guys. Let's wrap another episode of Offcentered. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Thanks very much for joining up.
Wait, are we really doing it the night before Thanksgiving?
Why don't we do it on Thanksgiving Day while we're eating?
Isn't that 2 weeks?
We can talk about. Is it really
2 weeks? 2 weeks is the night before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, maybe we adjust. We'll adjust.
No, but nobody does everything on Wednesday night. Everybody will be in. They'll have the next day off from work. They'll need something to watch, especially with the writers just coming back on strike. So you know who doesn't go on strike? Well, you two guys don't go on strike. I've been on temporary.
Steve doesn't make videos, so he's
temporary leave.
Available. Steve's available, of course.
The actor strike's over now. You got to get back to making content.
Yeah,
right.
You got to get back.
Oh, okay.
He's been in the picket line. Steve's been in the picket line for months. Now it's time to get back to work.
I've got writer's block.
This strike was over a month ago, so I don't know what to tell you about that.
Steve just learned of it now.
I'm so focused on all these fantasy football teams, man. It's all I do. Research all week.
I beat Dakota this week. I took Dakota down.
Oh, there you go.
He had CJ Stroud too, and I took him down.
Cool. I had buy him again this week. I had 4 starters on a buy, so I was just ready to take this loss this week.
There's some rough the way they do the buys this year. There's some rough weeks on some of my teams, man.
Sports card therapist, the #1 seed, beat me by like 4 points. So whatever. I've got Dakota this week, so maybe I'll do a little trash talk in a video. All right, guys, we're going to jump off. Thanks for joining again.